What's up guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. So today I tried vlogging and I failed vlogging. And I know that's dumb because you should push through it and just try to finish it, but I just really wasn't feeling the vlog today. And I had a video idea thanks to someone in the comments, so I thought I would make a video on that. Sorry if the lighting goes up and down. I'm using the windows to light me, and there's a bunch of clouds that are just coming past and blocking the sun. So it's going to be brighter and darker, and it's nothing I can really do about that. So just bear with me on that part. Anyway, what I'm going to be talking about today is a couple things that you need to take in mind if you're a beginner video maker. This is mainly geared towards people who are new to filmmaking and are still learning about their camera and what certain things do. There are two major things that I found really improve your video, and they're really simple to do once you get them into your brain and remember that you need to do these things. Number one is learn how to shoot everything in manual mode. So your camera's probably going to come and it's going to be set to an automatic mode whether you're taking photos or video. So I'm going to be using this T3i as an example. So as you can see, I've set it to video mode, but it's still going to have some auto functions enabled in the menus.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the menu, set movie exposure to manual, and we're going to set sound recording to manual as well. And then make sure that you have set your resolution to 1920 by 1080, 24 frames per second if that's what you're going for.
So why do you want to keep everything set to manual, you may ask? Well, if you don't, your camera's going to try to change everything by itself to keep perfect exposure, and while this may sound good, it's going to lead to really inconsistent video. Have you ever tried filming with your phone and you notice that everything gets brighter when you go into a darker room and then darker when you go out into the outside by itself? Well, that's because it's controlling everything automatically for you, and you don't necessarily want that. For example, if you're using automatic controls and you go into a dark room, your camera may bump your ISO super high and then you're just going to get horrible, awful, grainy footage and you're not going to be able to use that. So this is what I like to do. I set everything to manual. I set my shutter speed first. Your shutter speed is how long your shutter stays open to let light hit your sensor. The smaller the number, the more light you're letting in because the longer the shutter is being held open. And the larger the number, the faster your shutter opens and closes, the less light it lets in. A fast shutter will make all of your movements really jarring and sharp, and a slow shutter will blur everything out. So you could actually use this in different scenarios. If you wanted to be all blurry and dreamlike, you could set your shutter speed slower. Or if you had a really gritty action scene, you could set your camera to have a really high shutter speed and all the movements would be extremely sharp and jarring. So I usually set my shutter speed to double my frame rate. So if I'm shooting at 25 frames per second, I like to have a shutter speed of 1/50th. Most cameras can't do 1/48th, so set it to 1/50th. The GH5 actually has an awesome option where you can set your camera to have a 180-degree angle on your shutter, which basically means it's double your frame rate. So I have mine set to 180 degrees and 24 frames a second. The next thing that you're going to want to set is your aperture. This is how much light your lens lets in. So if your lens can stop down to a really low f-stop, that means it can go really wide. The wider the lens, the smaller the number. So right now I'm at f2.0. This lens can go all the way down to a 1.1 with the speed booster or a 1.8 without it. This basically lets me get a lot of light into the lens without having to change the shutter speed or the ISO on the camera. Another great thing with this is the lower f-stop you get, so like a 2.0 or a 1.1, the more blurred out your background will be. So you can see it's kind of blurred out right now. Also, the closer I get, the more blurred out the background will be. So once you've set your aperture, all you have to do now is set your ISO. I always try to keep my ISO to the lowest possible number it can get to because that means I'll have the least noise in my image. So right now I have ISO 200. For a recap, I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, 1/50th of a second shutter speed, 2.0 aperture on my lens, and 200 ISO. That means everything is under my control. I can change everything when I want to, and it won't automatically change and make my footage inconsistent. Now the second huge tip that I have that really helped me out, and once I got it into my head made my footage look a lot better, is white balance. Always white balance to whatever situation you're in, and try not to use the presets on your camera. They do a good job, but if you can dial in on a Kelvin scale by hand, it'll look a lot better and more accurate. So for instance, right now I'm balanced to daylight because I'm mainly being lit by the window, which is daylight. But if I changed my white balance to tungsten, which is a warmer light than daylight, it's going to look like this. Now I'm all blue and the footage looks really weird. So I'm going to swap back to daylight, and as you can see, everything looks a lot more natural. Skin tones look better. Everything just looks a lot better. So if you're ever recording and you're looking at your footage and being like, why does this look a little bit off? I don't really understand. Check your white balance. You may be surprised. This is something that you have to remember because I constantly forgot to adjust my white balance, and I would be really frustrated because my footage would just look weird, and then you have to adjust it in post, and sometimes that doesn't work. So it's always good to get your white balance set when you're gonna start shooting. Make sure that's all good. So those are some tips that I have if you're just starting out in filmmaking and want to have better control over how your image looks and get better quality out of it. Leave a like if you liked this video, dislike if you didn't. Comment down below if you have any questions or ideas for future videos on this subject. Subscribe to this channel to see more content just like this. I appreciate all of you guys being here. I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace. So why do you want to keep everything set to manual? Blah.